Hey, what's up, NTV? This is your girl, Cecile. And this is the girl, Tanya. And we're here and we're very excited to be here. Big up everybody at Brown Hill. Say hey, everybody! Woo! NTV, big up yourself. Yeah, Nevis, we love you.
Hello viewers, I'm Huey Sargeant. Welcome to On The Set, and On The Set is here, filmed here at the Cotton Ginnery Mall Gardens, and with me today is Chantal Miller. And those of you who have ever visited the Nevis Tourism Authority website, she's that girl that pops up and starts talking. So that welcome back to Nevis?
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Indeed.
You still consider Nevis home?
Absolutely.
And you've been living where now?
I've been living in London for the last 10 years.
Okay.
Wow, 10 years.
And that sounds quite long.
It is.
Especially Nevis, the paradise it is.
I know, crazy.
How do you survive?
Actually, I love London. There's a lot there that speaks to me in terms of the culture, the creativity, the way that creativity is valued and respected and fostered. So there's definitely a side of me that I can say is a London girl. But I'm a London girl with a Caribbean heart. Okay,
so tell us now about your connection to Nevis. You've been there for 10 years. 10 years is almost a lifetime for some people. Well, in this digital age.
Not for me, you know. I've been around a bit longer than that.
Yeah. All right, so just tell us about, just remind us about your connection to Nevis.
Well, I consider Nevis to be the country that raised me. Most of my family are Nevisians. I was back and forth between Nevis and the UK for most of my life. I think the first time I came here, don't quote me, my mother actually knows the facts. I was 2. And I stayed until around, I think, 5, 6, went back to England, stayed there until I was 11, and then moved back on a more permanent basis around that time. So I think it was maybe a year after independence that I actually moved to Nevis and stayed for the longest period. Okay,
and tell me about your Nevisian experience.
My Nevisian experience was probably one of the most magical times of my life. Having my childhood here actually made me the person that I am. I'm very proud to be a Caribbean woman, a Caribbean person, human being. I am very proud of the way that I was raised by a village, and I can actually say that. I mean, me sauntering down the street in shorts that were considered too short and someone calling my dad or my mom and saying, Mr. Paris, Miss Paris, I just see Shani down the road in some shorts. And one of them coming to look for me because my shorts were too short. The village raised me, and I'm grateful for that. Maybe not so much at the time, but in retrospect, most definitely. My education here, primary and secondary and sixth form college as well. I love the way that even though I think our education system is based primarily on the British colonial educational system, but it's adapted for the Caribbean. So I knew my history. I was taught my history and not so much European history, which I don't consider to be mine. So I am aware of the greatness that I come from, and I'm very proud of that. So I took that back with me when I returned to the UK, and it worked in my favor. Okay.
Yeah, you're into creativity, you're into film.
I am, indeed.
What pushed you in that direction?
I think for me, I've always been a lover of film. I've always been a lover of the arts and broadcasting and media in any form. I mean, I'm sure, as you remember, as we were chatting just before the camera started to roll, my start in broadcasting was actually at Vaughan Radio here in Nevis. And that just, I think it awoke the passion in me for media and the power of broadcasting and the power of the word. And returning to England and deciding to pursue my degree in filmmaking, and then just looking at what the representation is of persons of Caribbean heritage on TV in Europe and just in all forms of media. So TV, radio, magazines, newspapers, film. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that we're represented and the perceptions about us and our contributions on a global scale to creativity and culture and art and history. I was not approving, and instead of just kind of yakking about it amongst my friends, I decided to do something about it. No matter how small I am, you know, my contribution, it may start a ripple effect. So I do something, someone else is inspired to do something, and then our stories are told. And in this digital age that we have, it's so much easier to do that. So you can do that by photography, by film, you know, TV, by song, spoken word.
Okay,
very
so
easy.
You've done your degree.
I have.
You've started your own company.
I have.
Okay, what does your company do?
My company, ChantiMedia, is basically a platform to share and promote the Caribbean creative experience. So doing that through telling our stories through film, through photography, through exhibitions. So if there's an artist, a progressive and contemporary artist, because it's more about that. I think people are very much aware of the traditional type of Caribbean artistry, but in terms of the more contemporary and progressive, so looking at graphic artists, fashion designers, and so forth, you know, we contribute a lot on an international scale, but people just aren't aware because we're not very good at promoting ourselves. We're not very good at valuing our contributions and valuing our own and promoting others of ourselves. We're very happy to wax lyrical about American singers, American performers, European singers, European performers, artists, models, whatever. But quite reluctant to say, you know, there's an amazing girl and she's Jamaican and she's been featured in the latest Gucci campaign and her name is Janelle, or there's an amazing singer-songwriter in the UK of Jamaican heritage called Michelle Escoffery, or there's a great filmmaker who's Nevis or Kittish or Antiguan, or photographer. I mean, we have a photographer, Wayne Lawrence, who's based in New York, who's of Kittitian heritage, and I actually knew Wayne growing up, an acquaintance, not a friend. I knew him through other friends, and he's in New York producing great work and being featured in the New York Times, and who's aware of that? You know, are we promoting our own so that if someone comes down and says, you know, I need an amazing photographer, can we say, oh, there's a guy in New York, why don't you use him? So that's what ChantiMedia is about. It's about collaborations, because I believe as an artist that the only way to be seen and to be heard, and it makes it a lot easier, is to collaborate. So it's not about self, it's about a community, and that's what ChantiMedia is interested in.
Okay, you sound quite passionate about but then a lot of times people throw in the economics question. Does it make economic sense to do what you do?
It does. It does, but it's a challenge. It's a great challenge.
What are some of the challenges?
Some of the challenges are that persons seem to think that artists shouldn't get paid. That we shouldn't get paid. And I'm not quite understanding the mindset when art tells your story. Art in any form gives a certainty that when you've passed and gone on, that your story is held and kept and passed on to others. So that is a concern. It's challenging. It's a lot of hard work, so you have to apply for grants and funding and rely on friends and family. For instance, my first project, the pilot series that we're filming around the Caribbean, we went to Trinidad, and in order to get that done, we literally had to just ask friends. We had to ask friends to contribute to the cause, and luckily we have amazing friends and family who believe in us and believe in what we're setting out to do with the series that we're filming, and have contributed. We have a long way to go, so we still need more funding, but it's worthwhile. The end product will make it worthwhile.
It sounds quite passionate, but you told me you're doing this project now, the pilot. Is there any way we can see a little bit of it?
Well, I can certainly give some footage to you, Huey. And you'll be the first person outside of my family in Nevis. I can show you some rough footage. We can't...
Can we hear it?
Of course you can.
Oh, okay. Just making sure that when you say me, it includes the rest of Nevis.
No, of course. I would love Nevisians to see what I've been up to. And it's, as I said, it's a project that comes from the heart. I can certainly show you a few teasers that we've put together. I can't show you too much. We do have persons that are interested in investing in the series, so if I show you everything I have, there'll be nothing left to show them.
Okay.
But I can give you some teasers. That's not a problem.
Okay, we're gonna look at them now.
Juve. What is it? This primal form for expression of freedom. What is it? An expression of no boundaries, no issues. What is Juve? My first Juve in Trinidad and Tobago, Trinbago. I was able to be me in disguise, me playing a role that everyone else is playing. Am I mocking someone? Am I being someone who I am not? Who am I in Juve? I am me. I am I. We mock our French ancestors, our past French masters. Is it really still French or something totally ours? I know and I feel that this Juve is mine. It is me being invisible, but still being seen. It is a leveling of stratifications and shattering of classes. How many people come here to see Juve? How many people are here to be a part of Juve? How many actually become Juve? Juve, the rising up of a culture that was spawned from slavery, the purest form of carnival, that freedom we took from our French masters, the purest of the art form which is left. This is who I am. I am Juve.
There you had a little bit of ChantiMedia's pilot series. She says it doesn't have a name yet, but
no, not yet.
Okay, so tell us about what we just saw.
Well, I can give you the background story. I'm very much a Caribbean woman, so therefore I very much enjoy Carnival, and I do take part in Notting Hill Carnival every year. Last year in London in August, as you're aware, there were some riots, and there were a lot of persons who felt that Notting Hill, that the carnival itself shouldn't take place last year. But the community, kind of came out in force and said, no, this is the most perfect time for us to show diversity and to celebrate the diversity within London, and the carnival will go on. So I take part in that every year, and the day after Carnival, I was made aware that there was a picture of me on the cover of the Times in London, on the front cover. And after that, I was approached by a few channels in London, the BBC, Channel 4, ITV, to find out what my story was. So essentially, who was this girl on the cover of the Times with this policeman? What's her story? Why did the photographer choose her? What does she represent for Carnival, for the Caribbean? Essentially, why was she chosen? Who is she? And I decided, no one can tell my story better than me. So.
That's very strong. That's very strong. I mean, I commend your will and your strength for doing that, because, I mean, big names, BBC, ITV, I mean, come on.
That's all right. That's okay. I'm an independent person.
Then that's very good.
Like I said to you previously, I strongly believe in collaborations. And I knew, and I'm very good friends with many producers and directors who are of Caribbean heritage. And I decided to tell my own story as to why I was taking part in Carnival. And in sitting down and just going through the treatment for that, it came out that I'd never actually been to Trinidad for Carnival, which is really the home of Carnival. We have to be real. Let's be realistic. It is Trinidad, and the reason why Notting Hill was started was because of the Trinidadians wanting to continue that tradition in London. So here am I on the cover of the Times, in my costume, having a whale of a time, and actually have never been to the home of Carnival. So we decided, okay.
We need to correct that.
Yeah, we need to correct that. So we're going to do a story, what the Times cover girl did next. So we wrote the treatment and decided to do it in a different way, because as much as we were going to see Carnival and experience that, we also wanted to take a look at the artists that contributed to Carnival, but on the back end of things, and the persons whose values were very similar to ours. So valuing the traditional, but taking it further and in a more progressive viewpoint. So we made some contacts, you know, using everyone that I knew in my circle, and then that circle used everyone in their circle, and called people for us to interview, and booked places for us to go see outside of the mayhem of Carnival. So we had a more rounded experience of Trinidad and Tobago. I roped in a dear friend of mine to travel with me, Michelle Escoffery, who is a singer-songwriter based in the UK, and very much shares my ethos of valuing and contributing to the Caribbean art form in a big way. And we decided to go together. And, you know, Michelle was going to have a good time, but she ended up working. So I do have to repay her in many ways.
My empathy to Michelle, because
you know, working at Carnival.
Yeah, travesty.
No, she was. You know, there were times when I had 4 a.m. call times, and I dragged her along with me after she just got in from, you know, a fete.
Yeah.
A fete at 2.
She was warm. She was
strong,
warm. Yeah.
strong friend.
So
that's what we did. We went to Trinidad. We met with some fascinating creatives there. Fascinating. And I had the Trinidadian food experience, so my doubles and my roti and my bacon shark and my sorrel. You want some sorrel?
Okay, it sounds pretty good. So
it was good. It was good.
Are you going to, since you're from Nevis, are we going to get something?
I would absolutely, that's my dream.
Okay.
I would
and
absolutely.
Culturama is coming up in another
You know,
few weeks.
if you guys can fund the project, I'm here.
Okay.
I am here. I mean,
but it's we laugh, but then it's something very serious.
These things cost money.
Yeah, you brought out quite a number of really good points there, and the challenges involved with the art form and arts generally. Like, they just don't want to pay for it.
No.
But they want to sit down in front of
and
their
enjoy
TV
the finished product.
and enjoy it.
It's
and
crazy.
Somehow that should be free.
You know, I have to eat.
Yeah. And
I have to eat, and I have to live somewhere, and all artists have to eat and pay their bills much the same as everyone else. And I think the reason why there is this attitude of you know, artists volunteering and contributing is that there is still a long way to go in terms of changing the mindset of the seriousness of the arts and the impact of the arts, not just on the creative realm, but also academically.
Yeah,
it's well known the effects of music on your mathematical capabilities. And I think perhaps we do have a ways to go in incorporating that into our fabulous education system here in the Caribbean. And I don't just speak of Nevis. Although there are islands who do factor that in and respect that and value that and recognize a contribution, there are many islands that don't. And in terms of encouraging young persons to pursue careers in the arts, it's still the minority. And I feel very passionately about that, being an artistic and creative person. And that if it weren't for my family, I think I probably would have gone elsewhere in terms of my career, just because of not believing that I could have a career in the arts, and not realizing that you don't just have to be a performer to have a career in the arts.
We've heard quite a bit, and you spoke about your family for probably 2 seconds. You said Mr. and Miss Paris got a call about you wearing shorts.
My shorts.
in town.
My short
Yeah, like,
shorts.
who are members on Nevis? Who are members of your family on Nevis? Who created this person, Chantal?
Who helped to raise me?
Yeah,
Oh gosh,
and like,
so many.
they have to take credit for you being where you
Definitely.
are right now. So who are some of these persons?
If it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't be, well, I wouldn't be the person that I am and have the passion for the arts and culture that I do. Irma Johnson, Calvin Howell, Bertram Roach, my beloved grandfather, who his first novel was published when he was 88. And if that isn't inspiring, I mean, what is? 88. And I remember as a child growing up that he would always say that he wanted to write this novel. you know, about Nevis and his experience growing up in the Caribbean between Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis. And he did it at the age of 88. Proof that it's never too late. My mom was one of the original members of NEDAX. And I remember going to see my mom in plays and, you know, looking at my Auntie Lander sing and Uncle Calvin putting everything together. So yeah, I come from good stock. I'm very proud of the stock that I come from.
Well,
I'm very inspired by them.
The stock you come from pretty much created Culturama and Nevis. So, I mean, you are, well, that gives me some more passion to tell you need to come back and do a story on Nevis.
I would love to, Huey.
Because
Huey.
you are almost, you are a direct product of our art here.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, but we spoke about the funding.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
We're going to figure that out off camera.
Okay. Sounds good.
But what else? I know when we were previously talking, you spoke about some of the things that you're doing in London with artists of Caribbean heritage and exposing them.
I'm the creative director of a spoken word evening called Speaking Of, which essentially was formed to have a spoken word night, but focusing on those of Caribbean heritage and from the diaspora. So persons living anywhere, but as long as you have Caribbean heritage and that is incorporated into your work, it doesn't have to be blatant, like I'm sitting under a coconut tree on a beach. You know, it's not that kind of, it's not that kind of poetry. It's not that kind of night. But persons who value and call on the Caribbean as their chief inspiration and then move with that and grow it and nurture it. Again, highlighting progressive and contemporary artists. So we've been very lucky. I think our first show, we had a trio from Trinidad and Tobago called Freetown Collective that just blew everyone's minds. And since they're performing on Speaking Of and their return to Trinidad, they've gone on to be featured in films. There's a film that's going to be released later this year called God Loves a Fighter, produced by Blue Cinnamon Films in Trinidad, and they actually scored that entire film. So they scored it, they did the soundtrack, and one of the artists is actually the main lead in the film. We've had a night dedicated to the Caribbean roots of hip hop. Now, I'm gonna say a name, and I recognize that I'm old. And most of my peers are around the same age, so I'm not sure that someone as young as yourself would be familiar with A Tribe Called Quest, who for me are very significant in hip-hop culture.
I don't think I'm that young. I don't think I'm that young because I know about the Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, you know Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
And one of their, I guess, more known members, most known members, Q-Tip, is of Montserratian heritage, and Fife is of Trinidadian heritage. And so we had a night dedicated to the Caribbean roots of hip-hop, where these hip-hop artists, how can I say, they recreated some of their best-known hits as spoken word and then performed them on the stage. So we had Rodney P, who's of Jamaican heritage, who is a UK-based hip-hop artist. We had Fife Dog from Tribe, representing Trinidad. So we had Jamaica and Trinidad. And the DJ for that night, DJ 279, is of St. Lucian heritage. So it was a real Caribbean feel and night, but focusing on hip-hop, because you know, Grandmaster Flash and those guys, they're from Jamaica and Trinidad, and they're the founding fathers of hip-hop. And this is the kind of knowledge that we want to get out there.
And that's one of the things I find, a lot of the popular art forms, Caribbean persons had made a major impact in their creation.
I mean, Joan Alma Trading.
And we don't promote ourselves, and you said that earlier. So, I mean, I have to congratulate you. I have to congratulate you.
Thank you.
For what you're doing.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, trying until we get the money. It's a recession right now, so.
I can. It's a recession everywhere.
So we're going to figure that out shortly.
I'm sure.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. I think that's
agree.
a Caribbean saying.
I agree.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Before we started the interview, we knew where we were going to end. And we're approaching that point right now.
Okay. I think for me, Huey, it's important for us as Caribbeans, my made-up word, Caribbeans, to recognize and be proud of our contribution, our magnificence, our value, and recognize also that you can value something and respect something, respect your traditions, respect where you're from, but you can grow that and you can contribute to that. So as much as I'm an island girl, because I am most definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, an island girl, I am a global citizen.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with showing the world what we can do. So be Caribbean, but think globally.
Should I even bother trying to end again? I'm Huey Sargeant. Thanks for viewing. I've been speaking with Chantal Miller of ChantiMedia. And just if you want to see her again, just go on the Nevis Tourism Authority website and she pops up right in that right corner to tell you about the website. You don't even have to click. She's right there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Huey.
Congratulations for
Thank
everything.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I
You
appreciate
are
it.
doing a wonderful job.
I'm trying.
Yeah, we have to stay in contact because
Absolutely.
you're doing some really good things, and the passion is.
Oh, someone's indicating that I should let you know about my Facebook page. Facebook.
Sure.
ChantiMedia. You can find me on Facebook, and you can kind of keep track of what I'm doing, where I'm going, and also Twitter. Just ChantiMedia. That's my Twitter handle. For Facebook, it's ChantiMedia. It's CHANTI Media. Join the family.
Before we wrap up, I'm sorry, I have one more question, and the one question is the impact of social media on what you're doing.
On what I'm doing? Well, I have a YouTube channel. You know, right now I'm a fledgling filmmaker, which means that I don't have major distributions. So if it weren't for YouTube and the Vimeo community, no one would be able to see the work that I've created. In terms of Twitter, letting people know what I'm up to, where I'm going, who I'm collaborating with, and even asking for help. I'm working on this project. Is there anyone out there who's good at X, Y, Z? Does anyone know a singer-songwriter, a producer? Does anyone know where I can get this filter? Or, you know, it's all about digital media, social networking. It cannot be, I think, underappreciated in terms of the impact and the power. Use it wisely, though.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. And no, we're going to end now, finally. I'm Huey Sargeant. Beach, you said the beach?
Going to the beach.
Yeah, I'm Huey Sargeant. Thanks for viewing. On the set, better things coming soon. Stay tuned.
Flash, light, flash, light, flash, light, flash, light.
One challenge that was left out, because it is important to encourage the kids to approach us, but it is also, if not more important, to encourage us to accommodate them. Many of us cannot be told that something like that is happening. And I know many people like that back home too. Children would not go to them because the information would fall on deaf ears or people in denial. I know of cases in my immediate surroundings where even when faced with the actuality of abuse taking place in a household, I've heard a mother who, it's not about education or status, it's not about social standing. I've heard somebody who is of an upper middle class background with children who are educated to college level. I've heard a mother say the stories printed in a newspaper which tell of stuff like these, like in the columns, the dear whatever columns, so it's fabricated to sell the paper. I actually heard a mother say that, and she said this in the presence of the children in our house, so these kids would never go to her. I think we have to start concentrating on us. You know, the children are just that, they're children, they're afraid, they look to us for leadership. They look to us for guidance. And whatever an adult does, they consider it okay and correct. So it is us that we will first have to change. We will have to change the way we approach our children. We have to change the way we accommodate our children.